Hey peeps, Blood Moon event is something, alright? Definitely some alcohol to keep me going. Anyway, so BHVR have released a Blood Moon event on a week ago at this point, and I've been really struggling to put my thoughts together for this event because this is one of the most ambitious events in the Battle history, and I do think that even compared to V8, it is more ambitious. Purely because this is modifying a fundamental part of Dead by Daylight clearly as a testing ground for future modifications to Dead by Daylight's base game. We haven't seen any base additions since I think like 2019's endgame collapse, and that wasn't even that huge compared to what was before. And this is going to be radical. So, if you haven't played the game mode or you're not super familiar with the game mode, essentially they added blood generators. Blood generators cannot be affected by perks, items, killer powers, anything. They don't interact with anything except base game mechanics. You needed, as a survivor, to go up to blood pumps scattered around the map, spawning in like totem spawns, get to your blood cans field, which would immediately appear as a secondary item, which means with killers like Sadako, the item wouldn't work because you already have a tape or something. And fill it up, then you go over to the generator, you pour it in, then, and essentially instead of making a generator repair just be sitting there doing you're walking around the map, picking up gas, filling up with gas, and then it goes. Killers could still kick people, the generators, and that made them regress slowly, as per usual. And whenever survivors are walking around, running around, the blood cans lose a bit of their charge. Ultimately, the main problem for this game mode was it just didn't think hard enough about killer players. Which is not a take you might see often on my channel, because I think killer players are well fought for, mostly in Modern Dead by Daylight, but they really have been neglected in this event. And it's because of some design decisions that in their initial stage, in the initial idea, are quite sensible, but then in the end, just are a misguided effort. So one big pain point was that killer powers just didn't work with generators, and that is kind of painful. Pig has like basically no power. Freddy couldn't teleport to half the generators, etc., etc. And no one can't leave hallucinations next to gens. It's a lot of pain points. But even bigger than that is just that the fundamental random generation system in DBD isn't well accustomed to the blood pumps, and even the maps themselves aren't well accustomed to the blood pumps. That was an even bigger issue, because instead of using dedicated spawns or anything like that, they spawned essentially in zones that are predefined for like lifts and shit like that, and that meant that oftentimes, instead of spawning in a sensible spot, they spawned right next to the generator, or so far away from a generator that it took forever to do anything. It was really hard to do anything, one or the other. There were some games where it was a very good balance, and the game was pretty fun. Unfortunately, even if you weren't running gen slowdown perks, there were some perks that were affected, like coup de grace, fire up, basically perks that I think most people will agree it's fine that they will work with blood generators, but they didn't. And the same applied for survivors, like, oh, I can't use blast mine, I can't use chemical drone, the more funny, silly perks they also didn't. So I really like the scope ambition of making blood generators not work with perks. They should work with killer powers, and they should work with perks that aren't necessarily related to speeding generators up or slowing them down. Those are the problems. The second problem is RNG. You don't have anything to kind of consistently make the spawns sensible and stop the situations where it's either really easy to repair a generator really fast or really hard. And the second part of all the issues that kind of wasn't thought about is killer players, right? Killer players kind of had nothing in this event, and that's why we kind of stopped playing this event eventually. Because why would you play it? It's just like normal Dead by Daylight, but your power half the time doesn't work if you're centered around generators. Half of your perks don't work, and that's it. That's literally it. What I think should be done with the next event that touches generators, or the next Blood Moon event that will be an iteration of this, is giving killers something else. Say cages, maybe. I like the idea of the remote cage from 2v8 popping into Blood Moon. The new Blood Moon game mode, I think, should be an idea for how Dead by Daylight's future gameplay loop should work. That being, you want to experiment more and give both sides something crazy. Currently, we give survivors something more fun to do. I think we should give them even more to do, but we should also give killers more stuff to do, because right now, there is nothing for them to do in this game mode, and that is sad. And besides that, BHVR have also just screwed up massively on blood point in gains. For some reason, the blood point gains for completing a blood generator either are only if you are physically there to complete. Doesn't matter if you did 99% of the gen, you get basically no points. But then the person who finishes the gen, does 1% of it, gets a point. Why does not everyone get those blood points? It doesn't make sense. Why do killers not get like that many blood points of blood point? It's so weird for me that there is an event that is all about blood points, and then you get no blood points from its core. It's weird. And BHVR also fucked up the goal again, so we'll probably have to get it extended somehow, because since the blood point bonus applies to all game modes, in the Blood Moon and the non-Blood Moon, that just means that, yeah, people just go to the normal game mode because they don't want to play Blood Moon really as much. And that's weird. Well, why is the Blood Point game mode not giving you more blood points? It's kind of so odd to me. And they will need to solve this definitely, because they keep telling, oh, the Blood Moon event is the biggest blood point time in Dead by Daylight history, and it's just not. Neither of the times were. Technically, in the finale of the previous Blood Moon, after they jacked up everything and they gave a bunch of compensation, we got more blood points than usual. But still, why can't you just give blood points from the get-go? That's weird, you know. I feel like that doesn't make a lot of sense to me. Besides that, it is just kind of appalling to me that we have had public announcements on how they're looking into making such a system work 9 months ago on the last AMA that they have done, and in that entire time, this is what they came up with. This feels to me like an early gameplay prototype that you would roll out, like, I don't know, after a month of development. This does not feel like a coherent enough system for 9 months of game development. I'm sorry. I understand that Dead by Daylight has a big pipeline, big whatever. This just is not cooked enough. This is undercooked in obvious and straightforward ways that the moment you examine them for a few minutes start to fall apart. And it is really odd to me that somehow BHVR have not managed to examine that. It is just plain odd to me. I'm hopeful to see like a post-mortem for Blood Moon, because it is such an interesting event, and I hope the negative feedback doesn't make them go, oh, this is a terrible idea, because this is a great idea. It is just executed on so poorly. It is genuinely surprising to me that they managed to fuck it up so badly, because there were very straightforward ways to make this far more interesting for everyone, far more fair for everyone. BHVR just chose not to do them. And they've drawn the ire of a lot of the player base for doing that. And I also think releasing this event, that is such a change on the Daylight's gameplay formula and balance. While you're releasing probably the strongest killer you've released since Nurse, is a little weird. You know, maybe not the best of timings. Means maybe you should have not Kaneki before dropping the development event, but hey, what do I know? But I do think it definitely kind of screwed up feedback a little bit on the event, because I think a lot of the survivors' deaths kind of account for just Kaneki being overly overpowered, and we can't get a good grasp on how much of games have been impacted. Weapon event is very, very interesting, and I hope that BHVR does more stuff like it, because It is the biggest breath of fresh air that I've ever seen in DBD. It's not enough to entice me, for example, someone who's a tad bored of DBD's current like very stale state, but it is on the verge of being really, really exciting, really, really cool, and I think long term for the health of the game, trying to kind of streamline out the gameplay that we have currently in Dead by Daylight is extremely important, and I hope they continue to iterate on it and improve on it more and more and more. Anyway, meantime, I wanted to thank every single Patreon member that has subscribed to the Patreon over the last little bit. Everyone who's active right now, even if you're canceled since, you're still going to be included. If you want to support my channel, support the things I do, support the deep dives, support videos like this, and even more stuff, join these silly folks in getting a bunch of benefits like shoutouts, exclusive PTS content, updates, special Discord roles, etc., etc., etc. There's a bunch of stuff on the Patreon. Just go and look at it. But yeah, thank you to Sleepy Judas, to Snow, to Luna, to Theo Morbat, and Sojus for supporting me this month. It has been absolutely incredible, the outpouring of support I've been getting recently. And as I'm ramping things up in April, and we're going to get even more content from me, I have a deep dive for even PTB that's going to come out tomorrow, is going to come out in a few days. That's pretty exciting. I think it's going to be a fun time. And if you like DBD content, you're in for a good time. And yeah, I bet you the tips.